So yeah, I'm kind of navigating this live thing, trying to, navigate everything that's going on around me and, you know, my own life, my own channel, as we all are trying to adjust. But it occurs to me that with, when somebody is targeted the way that I have been, and maybe you don't know me, but I was, on a music app, and I was, putting songs and things on my channel. And when I left, I don't know. I mean, I'm good at what I do. I was raised in music, and I'm good at what I do. And I guess that caused some feelings, but, and some bullying. But when I left the app, the music app, that I'm on a different music app now, but when I left, some people decided that they wanted to follow me. They took over my channel, decided to pretend to be me, some really serious things, But when I left, it was because of the bullying and, and what was going on that particular app, and the jealousy and the clicks and all that, right? And if you're somebody that is really good at what you do, then it's more likely that you're going to be targeted than somebody else, right? But and it is jealousy and unfair competitions. They're all about competition. In fact, if I were to give anybody any advice about that, the main thing that you need to do is just compete with yourself and try to make yourself the best version you can be, because being somebody else is just going to land you in big trouble. Okay, and then some people are saying, okay, well, Treva, people are just jealous, or jealous of your looks, or jealous of your talent and all this. And it's not like I've never been jealous of another beautiful woman, I mean, we all know what that feels like, to feel like, maybe, especially if you're with a partner. I'm not with a partner. But, to think that, they're attracted to somebody else. But, I also realize too that in a relationship, you're going to find other people attractive, and that shouldn't be a threat if you've got this really solid foundation, right? So, it's just the way it is. And there's always going to be a woman, a man, somebody that's going to be more nice looking than you. And we all come on here wanting to look the best that we can. We all do. But to simply say it's because of somebody's looks or jealousy, if you don't like a person, all you have to do is move along. But it really is really sad to think that somebody would go way out of their way to ruin their own life, to try to pretend to be somebody else, or to try to destroy another person's life because somebody they don't even know, it feels threatened by them. Or maybe they do know them, but I'm not competing with anyone. I'm just doing my life and minding my own business, and following my own dreams and talents, right? And that's all you can do. That's all any of us can do. And so, I don't owe an apology to anyone, and neither do you, for being yourself. If you're in your own lane and you're not doing anything to hurt, harm, bother, block, shadow ban, do anything to hurt another individual, you're not bearing false witness to make everybody hate someone. If you really are confident, you would never need to do such a thing. It's actually silly to even contrive of such an idea, because there are a lot of beautiful people here. And I've said this before. So to just say that it's jealousy is not enough. That's just, I can't imagine that in and of itself would be enough. Now, there's some people that are beautiful. They've got all the money in the world to go get treatments and all of these things. But, I do these things for myself because I'm not, at this point in time, not rolling in dough. But, but I find a way, I find a way to take care of myself, sometimes better than other times, But we all care about our appearance and wanting to come off, in our best. Everybody, we want to put our best face forward, right? And it has nothing to do with competing. All you can do is just be the best you on your, just don't be worrying about what anybody else is doing, because that really is none of your business anyway, unless you are, interested in what they're saying and feel like that it's positive information that you can, use to make yourself a better person. But when you're somebody that's in some kind of a power position and you go to someone's employers, to their friends, family, go to the music app, hire people to come after this person, get everybody that they've ever known, and tell a bunch of lies because your own character, that your own emotional well-being is so out of whack that you feel like you would have to attack somebody like that because you don't feel good about yourself, and you probably should talk to somebody and try to get that worked out, because it's really dumb. And it's more than just looks and appearance and talent and all of that, especially when you don't have to even watch them. You could just keep going. You don't have to watch them. Just do your own thing, stay in your own lane. That's what I would advise. But for someone to sway police officers and a courtroom, or use their personal power or position to annihilate somebody's life, that's a huge deal. And I don't take it lightly. How would you feel? I mean, what if somebody did that to you and fabricated a whole grand scheme, a RICO crime, really, and got a lot of people involved? And it ruined all of their futures because they were willing to target a person that they didn't know, that they were lied to. Some of them went as far as changing my HIPAA records to say that I had illnesses like HIV and STDs that I've never had. Not only have I do not have HIV, I've never had an STD. And I do live in a moral way, so it was really, nobody did their homework to even find out who I actually am. Now, I have been through a lot in my life. I've been through a lot, and a lot of physical and personal injury too, that I've dealt with through my life and everything. But when you consider that somebody would use their personal power to just destroy someone, and get all these people and all these different groups to target a person, plus, or have to pay you to do it. If they were willing to pay you, then you already know for sure, that it was a bunch of bullshit. You'd have to know, right? So, there's no excuse and everything. It's not like, people can say, oh, well, you're just this and you're just that, Treva. You should understand. No, I'm a person. I have inalienable rights. I'm a human being. I have human and civil rights to be myself and to be here on my own channel and to give you good information or quality talent, what I feel like might be uplifting or even helpful to you. And if you like what I'm doing and admire what I'm doing, I hope you'll follow me, and that we can be friends, that we can be on the same, emotional and mental, place in our lives where we realize that, it's not, we have to respect each other. Okay? Yes. There's no excuse for it. So, it's like you have a choice. If you come after somebody, pretty soon, people are going to recognize what's going on. And it shows, it's so disrespectful to ourselves to even feel like we're so insecure that we would even have to do such a thing. That's ridiculous. No. The only thing you have to do is just, decide what you are, who you are, your dreams, your goals, and what anybody else is doing has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't. No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm not competing with anyone. I'm here and I'm genuine, and I'm honestly just trying to navigate through a really, really hurtful situation. To know that people are not only stealing my work and my thoughts and ideas, but even, monetary gifts that I'm a beneficiary of. That I have a legacy from a father, and the fact that, who I am, where I came from, all of those things have been really, should be a number one of interest to Homeland Security and to the FBI. Not just because of people targeting me, but because of how my family even came to have me. Now, I'm not here to tell you that I'm well, I am, of course I'm hurt by it. I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not. You'll never catch me doing that. But I am, because I am hurt. But I'm rising above it, because I realize that, that there's, the sun will come out tomorrow, right? It will, and it always does, eventually. And I know that, that even though different groups of people, not just in my town, but in the country and overseas, decided to target me. And it's really sad because, you're to even have to contrive such a thing, it's just, you're selling yourself short. Nobody should ever feel like that they have to do that in order to count. If you're not who you really want to be yet, what would you like to change? I dye my hair blonde. My hair is dark brown. But, probably about 20 years ago, I started, dyeing it blonde because, I was getting enough gray that I would have to color my hair brown over and over again because, to cover up those grays. And so there ultimately would be more damage doing that. And then after going through chemotherapy, of course, you lose all your hair. And when my hair grew back in, it grew back in all curly. And it only grows to be like, here, let me see. It only grows to be like maybe right to here. And it's possibly it's because I bleach it, but I don't think that's really it. I just think that when you get radiation, I did the chemo and the radiation. So when you get radiation, the whole idea is that it will slow down the cell turnover, right? So that cancer cells won't multiply and continue, to live, right? And so, but what that also does is, my hair growth is kind of stunted. And so I can't wait to try some of those products, maybe we can all, if I become an influencer, I can try all these products that you guys want me to try. And I can help sell them too. I would love that. I want to be an influencer for Sonobello right away. Wouldn't you? And so if you wanted to slim down a little bit. So, life is too short to just live your lives, always, catty and jealous and ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It is, and we have only one, we might reincarnate, but we only have one life at a time at least, right? And so what are you going to do with it? Are you going to waste your time getting yourself into legal trouble that you're going to be hell-bent to get out of? Or are you going to work on yourself and to realize, your own gifts and talents, and to not worry about somebody who really is not even thinking about you? I wasn't even thinking about these people. I mean, I was forced to because I knew that I was in trouble these last few years, but for the most part, I don't even know who all of them are. I don't know. But I knew that the attack was so severe because of Star Maker, and then I realized, about the exes and the family and all that, but honestly, I don't worry about what you guys are doing. I don't look for your channels, if you're not in my feed, chances are I'm really not looking, at you at all. and the thing is too, is that, right now, because of my own spiritual gifts, I have a very powerful intuition. And I really, as you've heard, and I really do pick up on energy from people. And I don't want to either, because sometimes it's like, I don't want to feel that energy. It's not lifting me up. But I've had to sometimes, because I have been, ever since I was, going through what I went through on that music app and paying attention to the behavior of people there and things that were going on around me and the repetitious behavior, I knew that I was under, well, I mean, it was obvious because of the notifications and the songs and, that I was being bullied and, all of a sudden, nobody wanted to sing with me. All of a sudden, there were just things that were going on that were just strange. And you and I have a hyper sensitive radar system built in, born that way. And so when I look around, especially if something's going on that's harmful, or I get that red flag thinking, okay, something's going on that's harmful, my little antennas, my alien antennas go, and I can pick up on it easily. I mean, just so easily. And again, it is a burden too, because sometimes I don't want to. I mean, who wants to know who hates them, right? We don't, I don't have time for them. If they hate me, fine, but just don't come into my space. Don't come and inflict damage on my person, because my boundary is there. You're not going to get away with that. Oh, hell no. No, you don't. So, when, what I'm telling you, especially when we're all trying to conduct ourselves on these platforms in an intelligent and prudent way, it behooves us to be respectful of each other. You never know who you're going to offend, who could have been a friend, somebody who could have aligned with you perfectly, and that you would have been great friends. And so, but right now, because of this mass attack, I was dumbfounded because I really wasn't focused. I wasn't focused on anybody. I was just working on myself, which is exactly what I was supposed to be doing. I mind my own business until you mind mine. And then that changes everything, right? And I can have compassion, but I also have respect for the laws of the land. I respect myself. I respect myself enough not to go after somebody that has nothing to do with me. I respect myself enough to be myself. I respect myself enough to call the police and tell them something's going on. And hopefully they respect their jobs and themselves enough to help you. I respect people that have gotten an education, that work in the court system, either attorney, court clerks, the judges. And some of these people are elected, right? Some of them are not. They were hired, or and even in the FBI, they go through a lot of testing and before they can even, be a part of the FBI. So I really do respect these people that have really done that due diligence to be in those positions. But the minute they start abusing those positions, they take all that work and effort that it took to be there in the first place and they throw it out. They think because of who I am, I'm above the law. And we are, all of us are in harm's way if we allow that attitude to perpetuate through the justice system. We can't afford that. These people, because of their positions, should be held to a much higher standard than even the rest of us that have not been trained in those particular occupations. Because with great positions comes great responsibility, right? That is so important. If you are so lucky to be in those great positions, you are held to a higher standard. And you know that. You know you are. And there isn't a church in the world that can erase that for you. You either respect your positions and you respect the law, and maybe you can go along for a while, but sooner or later, it always comes back. And all of us here that didn't do what you guys did to get in those positions, man, we depend on you. I want to ask you something, okay? And I want you to think about this. What if one of these creeps that did this to me was able to come into my house, to rape me, to kill me, I call the police and they didn't come. Because those are the kinds of threats that I've been receiving through various individuals that plotted on my death, that put graveyard dirt in my food, that wanted to put poison in my food where I was living. And people don't put poison in your food that are not conspiring to kill you. I don't know if you can say those words, but since it is a true testimony, I'm going to say that because that's exactly what it was. Who would be so twisted that they would want to actually set it up to where somebody would be poisoned because of jealousy and wanting to steal money from them? Even if it was to hide their crime, it doesn't even matter what the reasons were. If you can go that far, oh man, that's serious business. Because you can go to prison just for conspiring to do that, not even actually doing it. But you know, there's been so many focused on me that it is not above possibility that somebody could have broken in or done something, because they actually did put cameras in my residence. They definitely are monitoring me, and it wasn't all just to protect me either. It was to invade my privacy, to try to find any kind of dirt they could find so that they could somehow find a way to get rid of the crimes that had already been committed from a decade or longer before. They were trying to find a way to get away with saying that I was mentally unstable, or get away with saying that I was, you know, a sex worker. Somebody really nasty and harmful to the community. They came up with so many lies about me, you guys. And I can be nice and everything, but I'm not going to be stupid. Okay, what happened? How would you feel if you went to the hospital and you gave birth to a baby, and somebody either switched the baby, or took your baby and walked out of the hospital? Okay, let's say, you know, the police were called, they looked around, you know, but back in the day, of course, you know, when I was a baby, oh man, there was nothing like that. We have no AI, we didn't have, you know, Amber Alert, we didn't have any of that, right? So it was much harder for them to actually solve these missing persons crimes because, you know, we just didn't have the technology at that time. What would happen? How would you feel if somebody targeted and bullied your child while they were online? Because they were either jealous or because they were related to somebody that you don't like. And you called the police, but the police never came. The police didn't come. This is serious. Because if we don't, you know, under the Constitution of the United States of America, we are guaranteed police protection. That's a part of it. You know, not only to protect us, but also, you know, they can't just come barging into your personal life and set up cameras and set up shop and call you something just because they want to steal something from you. And that's what happened to me. And the thing is, oh, you already won the case, Treva. You know what? Until I receive the documents and the inheritances, the original documents, until that actually comes to my door, you know, for me, it's not over, because you can't say, oh, well, the case is solved, you won your case, because these people aren't taking that one case very seriously, because if they had, where are they? I want my documents. I want to see all of the court documents. And I had to go to tarot readers to give them, you know, information. I mean, I knew what they were talking about. They didn't have the details, but I did. I knew exactly what they were talking about. It didn't take me the minute I heard them. And I also know when they're aligned with the ones that were stealing. I know when they're aligned with the law. I know when they're riding in the middle. I know when they're simply confused and just trying to sort it out, which all of us had to do that. All of us were kind of like trying to figure, what was really going on. But when you consider that someone could just bust in a government office, law enforcement, a city, could just barge into your personal life when you aren't doing anything to anyone, when they set it up to where you would get pushed out of places that you lived so that you could look homeless like a homeless bum, because that was a part of the narrative to throw me under the bus. If she looks like a homeless bum, then we're going to be able to prove in court that she is unable to take care of herself. And another thing is that she's mentally unstable. She's a drug addict, she's a drunk, blah, 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 blah. All of this was designed to make me look like I'm somebody I am absolutely not, and that I have no intelligence at all, which I think you know by now that's not true. No, I'm a pretty smart person. And plus, some of these energies, I know them. I know what they're capable of. I know how their mind thinks, so they can't fool me because I already know them. I know what they're like. Either, by family or from working with them, knowing. Even the psychological propensities based on religion. So I have kind of upper hand with that, because if you're not raised LDS, then you might not know, their psychological propensity toward their faith, which I do know. And which was also really concerning, because I knew that if I got, an attorney, that he would be aligned with the LDS faith. And so, I would feel like I would be, there would be some conflict there, because many of them are who came after me. Okay? And my ex-husband, like I've mentioned before, he has a brother that was in the Quorum of the 70, which is the hierarchy of the church. And those people, I'm telling you, and you all know too, because of the other, lawsuits that are going on regarding that they will do just about anything to protect the faith. And and it's not like when you're willing to break the law in the name of God, something's seriously wrong with you. Really, truly. Because to bear false witness in a court of law is perjury. To come after an employee and to bully them is serious business. And I'm not trying to say that, I'm going to stay mad or anything like that, but I'm not going to be a fool. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to be a fool. No. And neither would you. No, you wouldn't be. Not in a million years. Our communities, whether we are online or in our neighborhoods, we have to, oh my gosh, I am so appalled. I try, and it's not like I'm not healing. It's just that I'm not stupid. See, there's a difference. Healing means, to them, that, okay, well, we know that that we did this, Treva, and now you just have to forgive us. Okay, let's all be nice and have a party. But I can't have a party with some of these people because I know what they did. And it's not appropriate. I'm not going to want to party with somebody that tried to harm me. That literally really came after me without doing their due diligence, that just made a judgment without getting my side of the story or any real information. I mean, at least, you know, you're going to realize that there's so many lessons that really the community gets to learn from this whoever's experiment this actually was. But maybe it was you were testing me, but truthfully, you're the ones that were tested. You ran a test on me, only to have the camera turned back on you. That's hilarious because that's exactly what you did. And that's what arrogant people think. They think that they can just come after just anyone, right? And they get away with it over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, one day, they misjudge somebody and they come after them. And they've got those cameras on them. Man, they're going to throw them under the bus. They're going to put all these crimes on them. They're going to make them look guilty of something. They're going to, change the narrative of who they are. And they expect you, if you want us to help you, Treva, you're going to have to go along with what we say about you. What do you think about that? Well, can I, give you my middle finger? Here, I'll give you my first fingers. No, no, no. You can't. How about my pinky? No, 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 no. Because I know what my rights are. And we all owe it to ourselves, in case this happens to you someday, that you know what your rights are too. It is a serious matter. I can't just pretend like it was just like this prank and that I'm supposed to have a sense of humor, Treva. It was just a joke. It wasn't a joke. For that many people to conspire something this extravagant, it wasn't a prank. It was serious. And I see it for what it is. I can't fake it, but I can be nice. I can be fair. But the thing is, it's like I'm telling you, what would happen if you were being targeted and slandered, shadow banned, bullied, thrown out of your place, your car, your vehicle? Okay, that's another thing too. Putting a tracker on the truck. Having landlords steal a key. And catching her, planting it back into place. I knew it wasn't. They think that I'm stupid, but I saw them. I know what they did. I know how, putting that tracker, on the truck would make it convenient for them to come get the truck and all that. And they took it and everything. I didn't get the registration sent because the mail was infringed upon. So I didn't get court documents or any information from the DMV about my registration. I didn't know. So it was a setup from top to bottom. And then not even a week later to have somebody, question my SSDI. Finding out that people said that I lied about being told that cancer had come back when it had, and I'd even been prescribed the medications for it. They knew it for a fact. They even knew, we had, a fundraiser so that I could go to Mexico to get treatment, because I knew that if it ever had come back, that I wanted to get special treatment. I didn't want to ever do chemo again. But I was prescribed for Zenio. But people took my HIPAA records. President Trump, they did, and they changed them. They painted a picture of me that absolutely wasn't true. And what's really heartbreaking about all of this, you guys, is because, I had... first of all, I was thinking that I was going to die this whole time, right? I'd been given 3 to 5 years to live. Then I move into this place after Stephen dies, right? And then, and no sooner do I go there than I get COVID and I wind up in ICU. And I could have gotten extra help, but the landlord was, an a-hole. She didn't want to help me. And so, there was benefits. I could have got more help had she done her part, but no, she didn't want to. And then, not even a year after that, it was almost a year exactly, that I stepped on broken tile in her home and fell and crushed my shoulder and had to have a complete reverse shoulder replacement. And the doctor couldn't get me in right away, and my shoulder was literally sloshing around. They had me on serious drugs, Dilaudid, and I was in a sling before I could even get the surgery. Trying to call family, but they're on a Panama cruise, just having a great old time. And at that point, I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. These people didn't give a shit about me. They were exploiting me for years. Years and years. And then, Doug's freak accident, when he was the one that was really helping me with that fundraiser. And then to have him suddenly, fall down some stairs? And people saying that he was drunk when I know for a fact that he would never drink and drive. He'd been down that road before, and I knew that he wouldn't do that. What happened to Doug? I mean, I just, there's some things that I already know inside of myself. And my questions to you is, what if a crime, a serious crime, happened to you and you tried to call the police and they didn't come? When you begged Homeland Security and the FBI to show up for you and they hesitate. Because and sure, I would love to have an extravaganza. And I really am happy that I get to have that help eventually here soon. But there's certain things that you just can't erase. There's certain things that did happen in these communities to me personally, that completely obliterated all of my human and civil rights. There's no way to just sweep that under the rug, no matter how hard you try. And if you can and I've said this before, to have empathy, it's like sympathy, but it's deeper than that. It's like really taking your mind and saying, how would I feel if I called the police and they didn't come or take me seriously, and they defended the people that were coming after me because they were a part of it? How would you feel? You can deem this negative if you want to, but you really shouldn't. And let me tell you, the reason why you shouldn't do that is because your safety matters. Justice actually matters. Our judicial system has a job to do, including law enforcement, and it matters. And our personal safety depends upon those people. It does. It does. And the fact that I've won this case, that they haven't rushed to my aid to tell me what happened to me as a child, what was going on behind the scenes, that the attacks that I was under, and I know that they will eventually, they will. But it just really is just appalling to me that you put me through this for years without coming forward to help me. And I'm hurt because all of us depend upon our community support, law enforcement to be there for us, to recognize when somebody is under attack like this. And I don't care who I am. I don't care if I am a descendant of Jesus Christ or the daughter of Elvis Presley. I am a living, breathing being that was trying so hard to figure out what was going on around me. I was just like you, living an average life. Maybe I was, above average in what I was trying to do because I was given gifts. But everybody has them. Yours might be different than mine, but you've got them too. And no one, no matter who I am, had the right to do that to me or to put me through a test like that and not to come to my rescue at all, but to participate in something so vile as this. Where are you with my court documents? Where are you with all of the evidence I know you've got from Star Maker? Because I do too. And from in Saratoga Springs, Social Security office in Provo. I know what you did. And there's no question that they set me up to lose the truck. I go to the DMV. They didn't change my name on the registration, no, because they wanted to set me up for a crime, so they kept it in my name and then wrecked it. Yeah. So all these insurance companies call. Were you in a wreck in the last 2 years? Somebody wrecked my truck in my name. And I asked them, I said, well, don't you have my information already? Obviously, somebody wrecked my truck. My ex and his ex and all of these people decided that they were going to, work together and keep the truck registration in my name. and go out there, and then they wrecked it, and they wanted to set me up for crime by keeping the truck in my name. So, I mean, we're not talking a big cover-up. We're talking extraordinarily big cover-up. Because of life insurance fraud. An ex, telling the government that I had died and was getting death benefits. Got life insurance out on me, told him I was dead. Doing his put me on his taxes. The IRS figured it out. So where are the federal agents? Where are you? I'm describing real targeting. Oh, and the ex, having, behind my back, having pictures of us intimate together, and then using that to make me look like I'm somebody that I'm not, because with behind my back, he filmed it. And I caught him early on when he would put tape recorders under my pillow, because he wanted you to, talk dirty. And so he'd like to record you when you didn't know, right? I found a whole briefcase full of tapes from not just me, from other women too. And I did tell the police. I did go to Vicky and Provo Police, the victim's advocate. And like an idiot, I helped him so that he wouldn't lose his legal license. But now he should definitely lose his license to practice law. And some doctors should too, and some therapists too, that would be willing to go in and change somebody's HIPAA records. To have, and that's just one part. I mean, this has happened, in South Carolina too. They were a part of it. They got some people from Star Maker over there to help them with that, and Frank from Florida and all those people, right, to get together and to create this diabolical plan. She's going to die. She's never going to find out, because they thought that I was going to die. I was given, it's true, a 3 to 5 year, diagnosis for metastatic breast cancer, but I outlived it. And even if I had died, and I keep saying this, to destroy somebody's character, to steal their music, their work, and everything that they're passionate about, and pretend like it's you. Oh, I don't take that lightly. That's my work. What I'm describing to you here is just freaking nuts. It is diabolical. Such an abuse of power and such an abuse of the law. How can you, in your right minds, go along with this? You know better. Okay? They didn't want me to ever find out, but I figured it out. They never planned for me to find out. And, it was unfortunate for me, but if it makes our community safer, way to go. The test that you ran on me, you took on your test. You took that test on yourselves. Now everybody knows what we're all about over here in Utah and in Georgia, South Carolina and Aiken, North Carolina, Montana, California, Arizona, Oregon. We depend on our laws to keep us safe. We depend on these public servants, and that's what they are. They're public servants. They're supposed to serve the people and to help us when we are in danger, in harm's way, and defend us. We are allowed due process in a court of law, and we have a constitution that is supposed to make sure that government cannot come into your private home and surveil you. It's not my fault. You didn't know who I actually am and what I'm all about. I'm nice, very nice to people. I always come with love first. But I can be a real pain in the ass if I want to be. You better remember that too. I really expect these federal agents and good law enforcement that really do give a damn about their jobs, and they're there for a reason. They took their oaths and they meant it. They meant it. And they cared about the truth and what was right and what was wrong. And they weren't afraid to say it. And to stand up to people that would try to stand in their way and let corruption just slide by like it was nothing. Because sooner or later, the truth always finds a way. It always finds a way. It just comes and grows up like a little seed, and it just comes out, and it just, and then everybody's going to know. I want to be. I enjoy being my comedian self. I love to laugh. That's how I've survived. That's how I stay young. It's because I have this wonderful sense of humor. I really do. And I don't know if you watched along the way, but I really have a sense of humor. And I laughed through most of it. And then it got so serious that it just became to where just wasn't funny anymore. Everything that was bringing me joy, they wanted to steal it. Everything. They wanted to steal my laughter. And it became harder. But if there's nothing else I can leave you with right now, I want you to remember what it would be like that if somebody was stealing from you, targeting you, broke into your house, defaming your character, I know you would want to be able to call the police and say, I need your help. And to know that they would do their utmost best to help you. Especially when you know that they've investigated it and they have all the details. And that everything you told them, every little teeny tiny detail that I have told them through tarot readers by giving evidence, they went and followed up. And they know it's true. Every bit of it. They have more information than I even gave them. They found out more than I was even working on. Thank God for that. I have a lot to be grateful for. I'm not pretending like I don't. I do. But just because I have a lot to be grateful for doesn't mean that I have not been traumatized by people that knew better and that did this on purpose. Our personal safety, my personal safety, and that of my kids. And I told you before, you come after my kids, I'll track you like a bloodhound. And I can too. I know how. Don't you come after my family. And I do expect law enforcement to do their jobs. Absolutely. I do. I've given you so much evidence. And you were able to solve so much crime. And I look forward to meeting the ones that really do care about us and really do want to provide a safe environment and community for us to live in. And that they're willing to do the right things. And to give us, a feeling that everything's going to be okay and that we're safe now. And everybody's on their toes. I whipped them into shape. Boy. We have to hold our government and these leaders and these people that are public servants accountable to do their jobs. We must. It should never be so easy. Hopefully, not ever again. To be so trite and so arrogant that you can just take the law and just do whatever you want. That is not what we stand for. It's just cruel and so uncomely. If you want to be more beautiful, and a reader was saying this today, and it's true. Be the best person you can be. It doesn't matter what your degrees are that makes you successful. Are you successful at being a decent human being? I would like to think that I am successful as a decent human being. That matters to me more than any other achievement that I could possibly get. Because I can count on me. Other people can count on me. They know they can. They knew they can. And so they knew that I wouldn't expect what they were doing. But I'm me and I count on me. I will defend myself when necessary. And I won't quit. I'm not a quitter. My rights, this U.S. Constitution, it means everything to me. It's more important to me right now than religion ever could be. I believe in God, but religion is a man-made organization. But I do believe in Jesus Christ. But even religious people can use these religions as a mask to pretend to be something they absolutely are not. We can't be just fooled because somebody goes to church on Sunday. Or we can't just be fooled because somebody doesn't go to church on Sunday. If you don't have the evidence and you haven't done your due diligence and you just believe gossip, you set yourself up every single time. And do not let somebody come into their own court case because they knew that if I did and had I been there, they would have never gotten away with this, ever, not even for a second. It was a deliberate thing. But now we need the truth. I deserve that truth. And I am compassionate. And I can be I am very grounded, but I can be balanced. I believe in a balanced scale, not a lopsided one. I believe in the balanced scales with the blinders on. It doesn't matter what your race is, where you come from, what you believe in, what kind of food you eat, what kind of songs you sing. There's so many people that are so prejudiced and so opinionated. If you don't like somebody, move on. You don't have to watch them. And that's the whole point too. You don't have to watch anybody here. And if you don't like somebody, that's okay. But you can't attack them. Oh no, you can't attack people just because you personally do not like them. That's not a good enough reason. Or I'm just jealous. You should feel sorry for me because you're so pretty and you're so this, that, and blah. I don't want to hear it. No, that wasn't why. It was to steal. It was to be mean. It was to use your power positions to beat somebody up so that you could get away with shit. Let's be clear. Let me be professional about that. Okay? I want to go back to the place where I can feel that joy and that I'm in a different environment where I can feel joy and I'm happy and I can, start with a clean slate and really work on my skills and talents and just, have a positive future that I've worked so hard for. I really have, and my whole life too. I want to know that, I can, at the end of my life, when it really does come, that I'm proud of myself. That I really am proud of myself. And that I like myself. If you don't like yourself, that's where the problem lies. And you need to find out why and what you can do to change it. Because that is the issue, isn't it? It's either because you like yourself so much that you think you can do whatever you want, or you have no self-esteem and you feel like you got to attack somebody else to feel good about yourself. These are the real mental illnesses going around and that everybody's talking about these days is the narcissism. It is a mental illness. Feeling like you are somehow slighted simply because somebody is pretty. Or you feel slighted because somebody has something that you don't have or can do something that you can't do. when all you have to do is figure out what you can do and what you do have and make it the most wonderful thing you can. Nobody has the time in their short life to waste on targeting someone. I know you know this is true. I know you know it. And I want you to feel empowered. Demand your community to do their jobs. That's what I've been doing every single day. Come here and say, okay, waiting for the FBI to come and do their jobs. Come on. You say I won a court case? Bring me those damn documents today. Of course I expect them. And I want to be nice and happy and excited. I don't want to be mad, but you guys like to drag things out and to interfere so much that, the moment that I feel like, okay, I'm going to be so excited. This is going to be great. Then you want to twist it up and make me mad again. Well, you know what? I'm naturally a happy person. And I know that when I receive the information in the documents, I'm going to be as happy as I can be. And I'm going to remember the people that really did care and really did help me and support me, that really do care about the law, that really do care about their jobs, that realized that something really weird was going on and they were willing to come forward and help and to be honest. Especially if they were somebody that went along with it for a while and then they figured out, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong. It would take courage. And that cannot go unnoticed. That is so awesome. Not only is it like the right thing to do, it took courage to do it. When you realized you were walking down the wrong path and you didn't realize that you were being led astray. And all of us, it could happen to any of us, right? But a lot of these people that originated this, they knew what they were doing. I guarantee you. And so, but I do appreciate so much. And you're not going to be forgotten either. I promise you that. Those that really helped to investigate and to help to solve these crimes, to help real people that were really trapped and burdened by bullying and things that were going on. Gosh, I salute you. I'm grateful for your courage to be able to say, to be able to step back and say, oh, wait a minute, this is really messed up. Something's wrong here. And to be willing to do something about it. That means the world to me. You have no idea. And I'm so grateful for that. And just knowing that there are people like that gives me hope. And we all need hope. We need hope to know that, we can really actually care about our neighbors again. Remember those days? There was a time where we all really cared, about our neighbors. And we didn't consider exploiting people. We were just living our lives as best we could, most of us, right? And that's how it should be. We have so much to lose, by conducting our lives in cruel ways. Our lives, you make or break them, right? Make it special. Make your life special. Find out what it is about you that makes you feel alive. And do that. Whatever it is. And it doesn't even matter how old you are. Because if you're happy, and I'm happy, we're all happy here, guess what? It's going to be a successful app. We're going to have successful businesses. We're going to be happier people. And we really do. We really will be able to foster a more loving environment, a more accepting environment, even of those people that we don't align with on a regular basis, but we have a loving heart in that we embrace them anyway, even if we don't align with them. Mutual respect, self-respect, being proud of ourselves and to do things that give us reasons to feel proud of ourselves. That's really the message. But when the time comes, if ever that time does come, that you have to fight for yourself, you fight like hell. Do it. because you are worth fighting for, especially when you're in the right. You're worth fighting for, and you're worth defending yourself, and you're worth being defended in a proper way with counsel that actually counsels you. Yeah, that actually speaks with you and knows what's going on completely. I mean, there's really nothing more I can say except that I know which different communities, I haven't forgotten. And I really do, I when I see the big picture, it's going to be easier to know who, what, where, why, and how, and you know what I mean? But the ones that really orchestrated it, that didn't have any kind of integrity, and that were just really going for it and nonstop, and putting porn on my storyboard on Facebook, and just wasn't following the rules at all, please move along. Because, you're probably not going to be free for long, but anyway, that's another story. That's up to you. Your life is exactly what you make it. That's all it can be. That's all it ever will be. Whatever you make it, and you get to decide. Are you going to graduate from this world as a successful human being that gave a damn about everybody around you, that gave a damn about your community, and the safety of not just the adults, but our children too? Love and compassion can go a long way. It really does. And I do expect it. And I do expect to be respected. And for the abuse to completely stop. The sooner the better. Don't even try. Yeah. Have a nice evening. Thank you for listening to me. Feel empowered. You don't have to be bullied by anybody. You have rights. And baby, you fight like hell for those. If somebody is trying to bully you, or target you, or steal from you, they don't have a right to do that. Have a nice evening. Bye.